My wife said, "You're not my owner. I can leave whenever I want." So I helped her pack without saying a word, and watched her beg when she realized I was done. My name is Ethan, I'm 32, and for almost 4 years, I was in a relationship that I thought was the best thing to ever happen to me. Her name was Marissa, 29, and when I first met her, she was like a thunderstorm that rolled in without warning, loud, electrifying, and completely impossible to ignore. Her energy was magnetic, her confidence unshakable, and being around her made everything else feel faded in comparison. But just like thunder that once seemed so powerful, her presence slowly turned into noise, constant, draining, and impossible to tune out. It was a regular Tuesday in October when things finally shifted. I was folding laundry in our cramped kitchen, using the counter because the dining table had long been swallowed up by her art supplies. Marissa was on the couch, glued to her phone. I had accidentally shrunk her favorite lavender sweater in the dryer, and when I held it up, feeling like a guilty dog, I was ready to order a replacement right then. But instead of laughing it off or accepting my apology, she didn't even look up as she said coldly, "You ruin everything I care about." The words hit me hard, but I kept my voice calm and told her I'd order a new one. Still not looking up, she added, "You should be grateful I chose you. Better options have been waiting since day one." She had said things like that before. "I could leave you tonight and be with someone better tomorrow. Men like you should beg to keep women like me." And every time, I had responded with love, surprise flowers, takeout from her favorite Thai place, back rubs while she watched reality shows. I thought I was strengthening the bond between us. In reality, I was feeding a cycle where she held the power, and I kept trying to earn her love. But that night, something shifted. I didn't argue. I didn't plead. I just folded another towel and replied quietly, "Okay." Her head snapped up. "Okay, what?" "Okay, maybe you should," I said, like I was commenting on the weather. She blinked, confused, as if I'd spoken a foreign language. But I didn't rush to reassure her. Instead, I finished folding the laundry, grabbed a blanket, and slept on the couch. Marissa thought I'd crawl back into bed with apologies. But I didn't. The next morning, I got up, went to work, and came home without mentioning the night before. By Friday, she switched gears. She cooked me my favorite breakfast, blueberry pancakes, and greeted me wearing the red sundress I loved. I smiled politely, thanked her, and left for work. That evening, while she was painting in the living room, I opened my laptop and listed the spare room online. Available in 3 weeks. Here's what Marissa never said aloud. She wasn't financially independent. 8 months earlier, she had quit her job to pursue art full-time. Since then, I had paid for everything: rent, groceries, gym memberships, even her eyelash extensions. She bragged about how easily she could replace me, but the truth was, she couldn't afford to. That realization changed everything. I started boxing up her extra belongings. No drama, just practical organization. I labeled the boxes, Marissa keep, Marissa donate. A few days later, she noticed. "Are we moving?" she asked. "Just organizing," I replied, sealing another box. "You said you might leave. Figured I'd help you pack." She laughed like I was joking. I just taped the box shut. That night, while sitting beside me, she texted furiously. I glanced over and saw a heart emoji from a name I didn't recognize. Oddly, it didn't hurt. Maybe because by then, I had already stopped imagining her in my future. Before bed, I sent her a list of 3 affordable studios near her yoga studio, all within her theoretical budget. Then I turned out the light and slept better than I had in months. The next week, the air in the apartment grew heavy. Marissa didn't mention the boxes again, but she watched them. She started dressing up again, cooking dinners, asking about my day. I responded politely, like a house guest, not a partner. It drove her crazy. One evening, while we brushed our teeth side by side, she finally asked, "Why are you being so cold lately?" I met her eyes in the mirror. Because I realized that being with someone who thinks staying with me is a favor. That's not love. That's leverage. She didn't say anything, just rinsed her mouth and walked away. That night, I submitted the roommate replacement form to the building manager. My cousin Mark was moving to the city and needed a place. The lease was in my name. Marissa had always assumed that didn't matter. 2 weeks slid quietly into memory after she left, and the apartment began to feel like a place I actually lived in rather than just existed inside. The air didn't carry the weight of unspoken tension anymore. No passive-aggressive sighs from across the room. No side-eye when I laughed too loud at a show she didn't care about. I didn't have to justify my taste in music, or defend why I liked my eggs a certain way. I didn't have to keep proving that I was worth staying for. Peace had a sound now. It was the absence of criticism, of dismissive glances, of those constant reminders that she believed I was lucky to have her. For the first time in years, I could breathe in my own space without apologizing for taking up room. My cousin Mark moved in 3 weeks after she left. He was a bit of a mess. Socks left around, too many energy drinks in the fridge, and a habit of singing in the shower. But somehow, it still felt easier. Easier because the house was honest again. There were no games. No one was keeping score. We cooked together some nights, split groceries fairly, and laughed about stupid things like how the microwave turned our popcorn bags into balloons. Mark didn't replace her. He replaced the void she left. Not with love, but with presence. With simplicity. With mutual respect that didn't have to be earned daily like a paycheck. And I knew, as strange as it was, that this setup was teaching me more about what it should feel like to share a home. Then one evening, as I was closing up the shop, my phone buzzed again. Her name lit up the screen, and for a split second, my stomach tightened. I hadn't thought about her for days. Truly thought about her. But there she was in digital form. She wrote, "I saw the room is taken now, so I guess it's really over." I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say that wouldn't reopen a wound I'd already stitched myself shut from. I knew what that message was. It wasn't about regret. It was about realization. Realizing that the person she kept threatening to leave had finally taken the hint, packed the silence, and chose peace. And that it wasn't just a phase. It was final. A week later, I got a message from Abby, her best friend. We were friendly during the relationship, mostly through group dinners and holidays. She wrote, "I'm not taking sides, but I want you to know. She's been crying every night. I think she thought you'd beg." I just stared at that message for a while, letting the weight of it land, then float away. I wasn't cold. I was just done playing the role of someone grateful to be barely loved. Let her cry. Let her learn. I had spent years feeling like I was asking for too much when all I wanted was to feel wanted. She had mistaken my patience for weakness, mistaken my steadiness for desperation. And that was her loss, not mine. Then came the last encounter. I was walking back from the grocery store, paper bag in hand, when I spotted her across the street. She was standing outside a coffee shop, holding a to-go cup, dressed in one of those carefully constructed outfits that looked casual but screamed intention. And right beside her was the same guy from her messages. He was tall, clean-cut, and looked about as comfortable as a cat in a bathtub. She saw me. Our eyes met. She gave me a small, measured smile. The kind you send when you want to pretend you're doing fine. I nodded politely, gave a small half-smile, and walked past. I didn't stop. I didn't waver. And I definitely didn't look back. That moment wasn't victory. It was clarity. She had always believed that I would wait. That no matter how far she pushed, I'd be there with flowers and forgiveness. But I wasn't a backup plan. I wasn't a safety net for someone who only wanted to feel powerful. I was a man who had learned that love without respect is just control wearing perfume. And once that lesson sank in, no amount of regret could pull me back. Some nights, I still think about the first time she said it. "You're not my owner. I can leave anytime." Like it was a trump card she could throw whenever she felt insecure or bored. And I remember how I responded with just one word. Noted. She thought I meant it as a joke. She thought it was a threat I'd never deliver on. But what she never understood was that I meant it as a record. As a turning point. as the moment I logged her words deep into the part of my soul that decided, quietly, that she'd never get another chance to diminish me. Now, months later, I live a life that's my own again. I cook what I want. I listen to my music. I leave my laundry in the basket without feeling like it's a test I'm failing. And the silence around me isn't heavy anymore. It's sacred. It's the sound of freedom, of no longer being measured against an impossible standard, of not having to beg to be chosen daily. I don't hate her. I just don't miss who I became when I was with her. And that, more than anything, tells me I made the right call. Hit that subscribe button if you believe that walking away from disrespect is the most powerful thing you can do, and that silence can be the loudest goodbye of all.